Anything broken can be actually reused, repurposed, and a mosaic can be made. Putting together different pieces of your life and forming a new life.
Yeah.
Mosaic is perfection in imperfection.
Where do you think the future of mosaicing is going to go?
We need to resurrect this art because it's such an ancient form of art.
This is an amazing therapy. For me, it was an amazing therapy.
For me, what is important is it's the journey. I think it's very gratifying kind of a process, and
Right.
then you actually see it's like like polishing a diamond, really, you know, and then you just see the whole thing come together.
Hi, welcome to Life Integrated Therapies. Today we're here in Springs. We're here to meet Natasha. She's a mosaic artist, and she literally is able to mosaic anything and everything that you can imagine: tables, chairs, walls, houses. And anyway, today we're going to be talking to her about mosaicing, what it's all about, what all you can do, and we're going to be also making a mosaic. So I'm super excited. Let's go and meet her. Hi.
Hello, Nissa. Please come. Please come in.
Thank you. Hi. Today we have a very special episode for you. We've got a very special guest, Natasha. She is a mosaic artist. So today we're going to cover everything about mosaics. So Natasha, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you started.
Thank you so much, first of all, for having me on the show. It's a pleasure, and this is the best way to talk about my art and mosaic art in general. So, in many ways, I think we need to reselect this art because it's such an ancient form of art. A lot of it has been forgotten, but in the recent days, we are moving towards modern mosaics from Roman mosaics. We'll talk about it in a little bit more detail later. But yeah, my journey started about, I think, Nissa, it was around 25 years ago. And ever since, it's been evolving, changing, and adapting to what what people want and what the audience want, and most importantly, what I want. So that's how it's moved along.
Your art pieces are so unique and different. And some of them also, I've seen all your art pieces, which we'll show later as well, how they've also evolved and how the pieces are so unique and different. So can you tell us, where does mosaicing come from? Where did it start?
I've always loved to travel. And when I travel, I've always been to museums and places of art. And at first, it was a lot of the paintings I used to look at with a lot of interest and in detail. But then I started shifting more and more towards mosaics. So then it was the churches, the stained glass, the mosaics in the churches. And then, of course, when we went to Spain, there's Gaudi and his very modern way of doing mosaic with ceramics, etc. So, I picked little bits from everywhere, and it has always been my passion to learn how to mosaic. But I couldn't find the right person to teach me mosaic in Dubai. But eventually I did find someone, and then that's where my journey took off. But that was about 22 plus years ago. So I've been doing mosaic for about 22 plus years now.
So how did you learn? Who taught you? And what was your, how did you?
This is coincidence, and I sometimes think that, if things are meant to be, things are meant to be. And I just threw out that message in the universe that I really need to learn how to do mosaic. And I wanted to do it in Dubai because I had 2 young children at that time and I couldn't possibly leave them and go elsewhere and learn. So I was at JBR, the Jumeirah Beach area, and they had these kiosks many years ago. And, they like artisans used to put their stalls up, etc. And then there was one kiosk with 2 or 3 mosaic pieces. And I was super happy and fascinated. I said, oh, wow, finally I find what I've been looking for so long. But then there was nobody on the stall. It was unmanned. But there were some visiting cards there, some business cards. And I picked up the card, and then with a lot of, what would I say? I had to persuade the person. His name was Vincenzo. He was from Italy, and he was doing a lot of mosaic for the royal family, the palaces, the yachts, etc. And then, with a lot of convincing, I finally got him to do a workshop for us. And then he got a couple of people, and then we were doing a workshop in our course. And I really cannot even remember the name of the place because that's the first one I went to. And yeah, it just took off from there, and it never stopped. It's just that's my happiest place to be in.
So you took some courses in Italy, right?
Yes, I did. I've done a few courses in Italy, and some of them were with some mosaic masters. Ulia Minossi is one of them.
In Venice? Or?
It's in Udine. It's. I flew into Venice, and then it's in Udine. But there are a lot of good mosaic artists and teachers in and around that Ravenna area, etc. So I plan to go there soon. But then I've also worked with a lot of Argentinian and Brazilian artists, and they always add value to what I already have. And life is a learning process. You never stop learning.
Yeah, and creativity doesn't stop.
Never. So it's all new styles, new designs, etc. Learning new practices and new material to work with. So it's fantastic.
So where did mosaicing start?
It was many, many years ago, about 3000 BC, I would say, and it was in Mesopotamia, which is now the modern day Iraq.
Okay.
And from there, obviously, the Greeks took a portion of it, and then the Romans, and then then the modern day mosaic came. So when mosaic really first started, there were a lot of rules, regulations as to how it had to be done.
Okay.
And it's called the opus. That means the way the tiles were actually supposed to be placed. There were 2-3 types of patterns, and it had to be followed in that particular way to complete a mosaic. But as time moved on, mosaic evolved, and now mosaic in many ways is not that structured form of mosaic anymore. And the kind of materials that they're using are not from what the Romans and the Greeks used to use. They used to use a lot of stone, marble, etc. And we've not moved away. We've added on to the stone and marble by using glass tiles. We start using smalti, which is a very highly pigmented glass, the thick chunks of glass we can use.
Those are the expensive ones from Venice.
Yes, correct.
I remember I bought
some pizzas from there. Yeah, those little pizza slices. Yes.
When I bought some, I was like, okay, it was like $50 for a bag. And then when I got it, there were just 4 pieces in there. I was like, are you kidding me? What am I going to do with these 4 pieces?
Yeah. So you have not a Fortunately, now even Mexico is producing a lot of smalti, so you can source it from there.
Okay.
And then there's stained glass, which are large sheets that we cut and make different kinds of mosaic with. But I don't do stained glass windows, etc., which involves any sort of welding, but it's like stained glass pieces of art, so we put it together, and we call it a stained glass painting.
Okay. Can I ask, do you know why this smalti is so expensive? Like, is it because
I think it's
real old or something?
No. I mean, this smalti is not. It's highly pigmented glass, and it's, I think, defined glass as well.
Okay.
So the production of that glass maybe takes a lot more energy, etc., to put together, and that's why it.
And cutting, dear.
Cutting, yes, you can cut actually smalti with nippers, and you also have the hammer and hardy that people use to cut smalti. So you have different ways, even the tools to create mosaic and break the difference. What we call the tesserae. That's the glass that we use. Different tools to cut different materials, basically.
That's beautiful. So I was also looking at a lot of the ancient mosaics, and they're so beautiful. Like even the shadow work and stuff. The pond with the fish.
Yes.
I love that one. And all the pieces are similar sized and flowing. And then at some point in time, mosaicing changed, and I think, was it Picasso or
Gaudi?
Gaudi was the game changer.
He came in and he completely changed the face of mosaic. I'm sure there may be a lot more other people, but Gaudi was the most popular one, so it really stood out that he was the one who changed the way he did the mosaic in Spain. The big Elizabeth the Million, and then that benches with all the
everything's flowing.
Yes. So it was completely different method of doing mosaic.
Yeah, in Gaudi's house, there's not one straight line or one, like angle. It's all flowing and it's all corresponding to nature. I love it. And so the picassettes, this is also something that you do, right?
Picassette is basically we use china
Okay.
And we create mosaic with broken china. So we can use cups, saucers, or anything broken can be actually reused, repurposed, and a mosaic can be made of it. In fact, I had a student who came with, I think it was down their family that they had this crockery set, and some of them were chipped, and she wanted to preserve it for life in their family. So she actually got that, and we broke it up and we made something and we repurposed it and gave it a new life, and that will go down for for generations as well. So it's uh you can use new stuff, but we try and repurpose. And I tell my students to get a lot of stuff from home as well. They're broken crockery, and we repurpose them and create. It can be 2D, it can be even 3D.
Amazing. So if anyone breaks a glass or a tray or anything,
where to
please
bring it.
just bring it to Natasha. She can make
You know
something
where to
gorgeous
bring
for
it.
you. Exactly. So, okay. So where do you think the future of mosaicing is going to go? So actually, like one thing I want to also mention is that when we grout the mosaic, one of the students had mentioned that there was an app where you can actually check the grouting with the different colors.
Grouter.
So you just take a picture of your mosaic and then it shows you all the like that is just like so futuristic,
Absolutely. Yeah.
taking the ancient on it. So do you see anything else like that you think
I think
AI would?
AI can create images, and so far AI can create images. I don't know if the 3D printing can actually print or create little cubes. Obviously it won't be glass, but plastic cubes. And
I
then
hope it doesn't come to that because
yeah.
the
So
heart
I
is
mean,
not there.
because that's the actual craftsmanship. And you say it's handicraft, you got to use your hand.
Yeah.
And yes, AI will assist in a lot of ways. It can help you with colors. It can help you with maybe designs and converting a photograph into a more mosaicable image. So it just makes life a little easier for us.
Right.
But the actual process, I think you still have to do it.
Okay, let's talk about the process. So how do you do from start to finish? So what's the first step if somebody wants to create a mosaic?
The first step when somebody wants to create a mosaic the question I ask is it for indoors or outdoors?
Okay.
So when it is for indoors, you use different adhesives, you use different substrate. Substrate is the backer that you actually do the mosaic on. So if it's indoors, then you would use an MDA for a wood,
Okay.
etc. Which even if basically it's the moisture, etc., that kind of destroys it. So if it's inside the house, it will be protected. Even the adhesive that we use a water soluble adhesive. It can be a white glue. So that's the first thing. If you're doing a mosaic for outside, then you use cement and tiling agents, and you use different grout, you use different substrate, you use a cementitious board or a mesh, etc. So all of that completely changes the route we are going on.
Okay.
So that's the first thing I ask.
Okay.
And obviously there
Selecting the colors.
yes, and then you come, I normally would for a starter say, okay, this is a good pattern to start with, because it's very misunderstood. Because I think a lot of people tend to compare creating a mosaic with creating something, a simpler art form. Like you could go for 3 hours and, maybe do a nice painting and come back. But in 3 hours, when you're doing in a mosaic class, the glass cutting itself takes a long time to do. So it is very labor intensive. So
it's very therapeutic as well, because like when you start getting into a mosaic, like I remember when I started with you, I just got into a zone where I wasn't even like my mind was completely switched off, and I was just in that zone. And I got so addicted. Like, do you remember the time?
You're still creating them, so that's a good sign.
Actually, I haven't done one for a while, but yeah, these are all ones. But yeah, so you get into a zone, and I feel like this is an amazing like therapy. For me, it was an amazing therapy because every Sunday morning, so Natasha has classes. If anybody wants to learn mosaicing, she has classes on Sunday mornings.
Workshop Sunday 10 to 1 and Fridays 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, in the meadows, and definitely worth coming to, but I have to warn you, it's very addictive. And she has all the stuff. So she just helps you you just tell her what you want to create, what your colors are. So the next step is to choose the colors, right?
Yes, yes.
So the palette.
You come up with a palette.
How do you do that? Yeah.
So what I do in my workshops, more or less, is I facilitate, okay, because I will teach you the technique.
Yeah.
And then you have the free reign to kind of more or less get a pattern, or I could even provide a pattern. And then I'll teach you the technique, and I want you to create your own style, because you become the artist then, you see. And
You're not just copying it, you're just creating it.
I mean, I'll give you the colors. I mean, the palette is there and the pattern is there, but you always have the free will to take your journey, you know. So that's the whole mission. You choose your color palette, and then I start teaching you how to cut.
Yes.
And you know, you do a few practice cuts, etc. And then we start work on the mosaic. And for me, what is important is it's the journey. The outcome will come. It will, because I'm very confident. I know how the process is moving, and I will guide you through. But it's that whole journey. It's like catharsis. Many people come to me on a Sunday morning, just for it's their me time. It's this zen that, you know, there's music playing in the background, and, you know, people are talking, laughing, and we're just having a good time. And then there are some times when it's just silent and people are doing, and they're here I mean, physically they're in the workshop, but their minds are somewhere else. And sometimes it's just that repetitive cutting, you know, sometimes it's just that snip, 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 snip. Kind of takes you in a very meditative mode, you know. So it's very calming. So yeah, as I said, people really do enjoy the art. So very, very similar to putting together different pieces of your life and forming a new life.
Yes.
Yeah, something
Crazy,
like that. Something new. Yeah.
Honestly speaking, I've never seen an ugly mosaic. It always turns out good. So
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's and also when people start struggling with cutting and say, oh, it's not joining. I said, this is the first time in your life you're cutting glass, one. And secondly, mosaic is perfection in imperfection.
yes.
And if it's perfect, then I don't know. I mean, you might as well take a printout, yeah?
Yeah. True. So do you also do artwork on commission and stuff? So if somebody wanted a mosaic but doesn't have the time
Yes.
or the bandwidth
I do take permissions. In fact, I've just done a complete wall in a restaurant. Oh, wow. Yeah. So that was a big project. So this entire house of mine was converted into a studio, and we had 2-3 people working on it together, and it was a day and night thing. So I do commissions. I do a lot of artwork. I'd work with interior designers. So if they want something, then they come and tell me, and then I'll get something together for them and take it forward.
That's so cool. Yeah.
But for me, I need time.
Yes.
Mosaic takes a long time. So
time,
you've got to give me the time to do it.
Absolutely. Okay, so all right, so you get the colors and then you cut the pieces, you put them together, then you grout it, or
Yeah, so first you obviously put the cut pieces in the pattern you wanted, and once the entire thing is done, then you grout it. Okay, that grouting is it's a choice people make. If you really put the pieces very close to each other, then you really don't need to grout grout the mosaic. But if you have a bit of piece, I mean, I would say 1 mm or 1.5 mm between the tiles, then you would grout it. And personally, if you ask me, I like to grout my pieces, and it's in itself is I think it's a very gratifying kind of a process. And you actually see, it's like, you know, like polishing a diamond, really, you know, and then you just see the whole thing come together. So yeah, it's a personal choice. But if you are going to do a workshop with me, and the first workshop, I always tell people, please grout the piece, because you know how to do the whole process. And grouting is nothing but the gaps that you fill between your tiles, even at home. That's grouting.
Okay.
But it kind of brings the whole piece together.
Okay, can we do go through the process, start to finish, just go to your workshop and check out, select some colors.
It's chaotic, but that's my place to be.
I'm excited.
I'll just take you to one of the rooms. I've got 3 rooms like that. So yeah. Sure.
All right, let's go.
As I said, there's different substrates and different tesserae you can use while making a mosaic. So these are marble pieces, and we cut them slightly differently from how we would cut glass.
Okay.
And this is the old-fashioned way of doing it. This is the hammer and hardy, basically. Would you like to see it?
I would. I mean, this looks super dangerous.
Yes.
Don't try this at home.
I've got my glasses on for the reason. And you can see this is a carbide tip, so it's really, really tough. And you can literally hold it like that. You can watch your fingers, wear your glasses when you're doing it. And you're cutting marble like this. You can see you can just keep cutting it smaller and smaller and smaller as you go, and smaller and smaller, and you can actually cut it to this side.
Wow.
So you just have to be careful when you're cutting it. Would you like to try?
No.
I
can just see myself chopping my
it's not
fingers
from
off.
the elbow, but it's a wrist, literally a wrist flick, and then you can go.
Right. I don't have my glasses with me, so I'm not going to attempt
you can
that.
see. And then thinner and thinner, and
Nice.
this is how thin you can actually make it. It's literally so thin.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, and this is how they used to make mosaic in the olden days. They used to use a lot of hammer and hardy, and as I said, we were using a lot of stone and marble, etc. And it was more. I think it was more for the rich. They used to have their houses adorned with marble. It was a prestigious issue to have marble floorings, etc.
And it lasts forever. Imagine it's lasted.
It still. I just
2000.
went to Pompeii 2 years ago, and the floors are still intact despite of all the volcanoes and everything. It's just fantastic. Yeah, they used to use mortar and then just put the marble in it, and it used to sit there for life.
Wow.
Yep. So that's it. Hammer and hardy. So Nissa, you've been a fan of blues and teals and greens at all times.
Those are my favorite colors,
So are you kind of looking at these kind of colors to do your tray as well, more or less?
Yes.
So what we're going to do now is just going to give you some of these stubs, and you know where everything is, and you have all the blue colors here and the teals, and then you have some more blues here. You just need to let me know which colors you'd like to work with, and I'll just pull them out, and then we can take it forward from there.
Great. So let's get some blues.
Okay. So you're looking at the teals first.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So we're not doing a specific pattern. We're just going to do a random pattern and then build from there. Okay.
Right.
So we'll take the light ones, and we can also add some. The iridescent blues really bring out the light. This one's nice and bright. Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay, what's next now?
So you want like a spiral circle going around like that.
Right,
So maybe we can just, as I said, we're just going to do it freehand, and we just like kind of see where the middle is. So approximately it will be here, more or less, and then we just draw the spiral circle going around. And this is, you want it to be a gold in the middle, correct? So we just go on this line and just create a gold.
Right.
Okay, as we go, and then we just finish this circle somewhere here.
Okay, perfect.
So we're going to start cutting your tiles.
Okay.
As I said, this is your nipper, and you need, if you're right-handed, you hold it in your right hand, and the wheels of the nipper always have to be looking inside. So in this case, I'm just going to cut the tile into 2 equal halves. So what's important over here is the position of the wheeled nipper. So the wheel has to be exactly between the 2 ends, so you get the nice position, and then you have to grip it so it doesn't shake and move, so you get a good clean cut. Okay, and then maximum leverage, you hold it to the side, and I tend to cover my hand with this so it doesn't just go flying around, and that's what you do.
Okay, wow.
Nissa?
So this is how you cut glass.
Yes, that's how you cut glass. Would you like to try?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I would just.
Excellent. And if you want to make it smaller, you can make it into smaller pieces. If you want to cut it into a square, you can make it smaller. Or
so we just place the pieces here?
Along the line, because that's the pattern you're looking at. And then we start, once we complete the whole circle, then we're going to start filling the blue patterns in between.
Okay.
So even when you are doing blue pattern, I would recommend that you cut a few randomly like this, in some thick, some thin, because you don't want it looking exactly the same. Okay, and then maybe some would be half and some would be, say, and then half and half. And then you make a pile over here.
Okay.
And then you want it random colors, right? And then from there, you take it and start placing them around the circle. So you first plan your piece, and then we will stick it. So now in this case, you want the grout lines to show, right? So over here again, this is actually the wrong side, but a lot of people tend to use the back of the tile because it gives it a lot of texture and character. And then, you kind of place it in a way that it's not more than 2 mm apart. Yeah, so it's going to be like about 1 mm up to 2 mm. And then you stick it all along these lines. And once it's stuck and is dry, that means the glue has actually cured. That's when we start doing the grouting.
Okay. So you just stick it with glue and then you just...
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you just go ahead, and if you need any more colors, you ask me and I'll get some more, and we could get some more colors to add to it if you want.
Okay, sounds great.
So
Thank you.
Enjoy your journey.
Thank you. Great. So this is my final piece. I'm really happy with it.
It's fantastic. Really, really good job.
Thank you so
Your blues
much.
and greens always work, Nissa.
These are my favorite colors. Okay, so now how are we going to grout it? So tell me.
First things first, we just put on some gloves because obviously we're working with cement and it tends to dry out your hands.
Okay.
It's always good to protect yourself. And we have different forms of grout, but I just use the powder grout, and then we just keep adding water to it till it reaches a consistency of like a toothpaste.
Okay.
And these are pre-mixed colors as well. So this is like an off-white color, which I thought will go really well with the gold and the blues. It'll break up the blues really nicely, I think.
Yeah.
So let's go with that. And I'm going to ask you to slowly add water to it, Nissa.
Okay.
And keep stirring it till you get to the consistency of like a toothpaste.
Okay.
And we tend to add water really slowly because there is a chemical reaction that takes place, and it tends to become a little bit frothy before it settles down.
Okay.
And very often we put way too much water, so stirring it kind of, we get...
Yeah, it becomes choppy.
Yeah. So slowly we add the water. Yeah. I think that's it. You can always thicken it up if it's too runny. Yeah, as you can see now, it's beginning to bubble, you see.
Yes,
so,
yes.
yeah. Let me show you 1 minute. Oh, yeah, that's good. So it's got to be literally this consistency. All right. So you give it a good whisk so it's nicely mixed.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do the ceremonial plop on it. Come on.
This is my favorite part, the messy part. Yeah.
Go on. Yes.
So start from the center.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Pushing it in. So the whole purpose over here is actually to fill the gaps. And we keep taking away from the tile and pushing everything into the gaps as we go. Yeah? And as you can see, this is in itself is a very, very relaxing process,
Yeah.
And then we'll clean the sides up nicely.
Okay. How do you always know exactly how much to use?
No, I know. Trust me, it's always a trial and error. So we just need to let it sit for a while.
Okay.
Sometimes if you're in a hurry, we just kind of use the hair dryer because. But it's always good when it cures on its own.
Okay, so now this is the grout is dry.
Yes,
so
it's semi-dry. We don't want it to dry too much, but at the same time, we don't want it to be runny because then you're going to be pulling it out.
Okay,
so I'm just with a wet sponge. If you can see, I'm just cleaning off. Can you see when you clean off the surface of the tile? But you still need to make sure that you're keeping the grout in the gaps. You see how beautifully it comes around.
Yeah.
So again, your sponge, you're going to just squeeze out all the water and just very lightly circular motions, and you're just going to clean up only the grout from on top of the tiles, and you're going to let the grout in the gaps remain.
Now the glass looks so shiny.
Yeah. So this is actually not the final process.
Okay.
So after this, you just take a rag and you're going to just, with a flat hand, again, just buff it. Can you see? You're just buffing it.
Wow, that
Yeah.
really makes the color.
Yeah, it really pops the color. You can see how beautiful these colors are coming through from this grout. Again, I would recommend that, yes, clean as much as possible of the tile at this stage, but patience, and maybe you wait another day before you actually clean the surface of the tile, because the whole point of it is the grout has to stay in the grooves, yeah?
Okay.
So you don't want to pull that out when it's wet.
Got it.
So what did you think?
I really enjoyed it, and again, it was very healing for me. I feel even the design, the spiral,
it's fantastic. It's very, very good choice, and the choice of colors is amazing. As always, blues and greens.
Yeah, thank you so
Can't
much,
go wrong
Natasha.
with that.
It's like, yeah.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. But what really is important is students of mine take this beyond the workshop and they do their little projects at home, and whenever they're stuck, they call me up. But that in itself is huge for me, because already, I'm spreading the word. So really, really happy.
Yeah, I think actually the spreading of Mosaic, I think you are definitely a pioneer in that. But even the things that you've done, the pique-assiette, I also want to show a few images of that. It's like how beautiful, what kind of creative things you can make out of this stuff.
Thank you.
And you know what I like most about it is that this is a fully functional tray. I'm going to use this. So it's not only a piece of art, it's something that I can use and I can look at when I use it and be proud that I made it, something of my own. So yeah, thank you. And
thank you very much. Thank you for hosting me. It's been a pleasure.
I have to say, I really enjoy mosaicing. And when I was young and I was in school, we learned about Roman and Greek history. And I remember seeing all the murals and the floor looking like carpets and the most beautiful things that they would make, even with shadow work and reflections. And when I saw it, I thought, this is going to be so hard, I'm never going to be able to do it. And one thing that I learned from Natasha is that you don't need to use the materials from the olden times. You can actually use anything, crystals, you can use beads, bangles, everything, and the kind of creativity that you can do, you can just, from all these little pieces of nothing or little pieces of things that you would otherwise throw away or not use, you can just recycle them and create the most amazing things which are functional and beautiful. And yeah, that's just the pleasure and happiness in that. And as Natasha also mentioned, the meditation that you do when you're doing a mosaic, the effort, the love that you put into it, you can't put it in words. So I definitely recommend that you try it out and do it, and yeah, check it out and see if it's as fun for you as it is for me. Thank you so much. I hope you like this video. If you like such content, please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you in the next podcast. Take care. See you soon.